Welcome, everybody, to the May 2010 meeting of the Bridges and Tunnels Committee. In the minutes of the last meeting, the minutes accurately reflected that I spent considerable time thanking our previous chairman, Mitch Paley, for his 1 year of service. Since he wasn't here to hear it personally, I thought I would repeat it again. Thank you very much, Mitchell.
He can watch the broadcast.
We said that you had gone on to greater and better things, and that is the combined railroad committees, and we're all sort of envious of you for trying to solve that riddle. But thanks very much for everything that you've done. Other than that glaring error in the last month's meeting, does anybody have any additions or corrections? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor? I presume there's no changes to the work plan.
No changes to the work plan.
We'll then turn the meeting over to you, Mr. No longer acting president. Mr. President. Oh, it still does? Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. We have to correct that.
Takes a while.
Congratulations. Congratulations on shedding acting.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Doing such a good acting job.
Thank you all. I'm pleased to report to the committee that 2 of the 4 phases of the Verrazano booth removal have been completed. Saturday we started phase 3, and we're 50% completed on that project. In addition, I'd like to inform the committee that the report on inventory will be eliminated as part of our cost-cutting measures. I know, I'm sorry. As part of the cost-cutting measures, we eliminated the warehouse function. So with that, there are no changes to the work plan, and I pass it over to David.
Thank you, Jim. If you turn to page 13, the report on operations begins there. In March of 2010, we had 24.5 million traffic crossings, which was 500,000 greater than March of 2009, or about 1.9% increase in traffic. The Easy Pass traffic grew by 5% for the month. Cash traffic dropped almost 7%. Weather was a contributing factor for both years. This past March, there were over 9 inches of rain. In the prior year, we had a large snowstorm at the beginning of the month, which also affected school closings, which dropped traffic dramatically. Lastly, one noteworthy piece of data is that for the first time since December of 2008, we've seen truck traffic go up. It went up by 3.9% over the prior March. That's my report on operations.
Just out of curiosity, when do you get April figures? And why we can't include those in here, can we?
Well, we have April figures, but they're still being analyzed because we get traffic information from all the plazas we're trying to poll and trying to detect which class of vehicle, what was the payment type. So the data is still a little preliminary by the time we put the report together, which you realize is a couple of weeks ago. So at this point in time, we might have a better idea of what it is, but it's too late to actually put it in the book.
You should feel free to orally report to us.
Okay, will do.
James Fortunato. I'd like to introduce James Fortunato. He is the new designated Vice President of Operations. So he'll report on the CES.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Following is a summary of the first quarter customer environment survey. B&T striped 10,166 feet of roadway striping in the first quarter, and we repaired 2,995 potholes in the first quarter of 2010. B&T met its customer service goals for the toll lane changeovers and Easy Pass availability for the first quarter. The overall collision rate was 4.08 in the first quarter, which is 16.2% higher than the first quarter of 2009 and 13.2% higher for customer accidents, collisions with customer injuries for the same period of 2009. And we had 100% compliance on cement truck, no spills or barred trucks at all our facilities. That's the end of the survey.
Welcome, Mr. Fortunato. There was
Thank
an
you.
article today in the Times saying that road paint, which I know is a specialty product because it has extremely high degrees of lead, among other things in it, has run out of supplies because some Dow chemical plant malfunctioned someplace and that there is no road paint left anywhere. Is that right? Have you heard that?
No, we haven't heard that. We use actually thermoplastic, and we do another temporary version of that when we're doing lane shifting during construction phases. I haven't heard anything like that.
Okay, that's good. Who's next?
Easy Pass report, Don Spiro.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Easy Pass report begins on page 35. Our Easy Pass market share in March was 76%, up more than 2 percentage points from the same period a year ago. As we've been discussing, this continues a trend we've seen since last August following the July toll increase when Easy Pass market share began going up against the prior year. During March, we opened approximately 11,000 Easy Pass accounts. About 2,200 of those were Easy Pass on-the-go accounts, or 20% of the total. And since the on-the-go program began, we've sold almost 51,000 of those tags, 80% of which have been registered. And that concludes the Easy Pass report. If there are no questions, I'll move on to the financial report, which begins on page 41. Toll revenue through the first 3 months is down a little less than 1%. It's a reflection of mostly of the lower traffic we saw in February due to the storms. March revenue was up about 3.5% against budget. It was a reflection of the higher traffic that Dave noted for the month of March. Total expenses year-to-date through March are up slightly, primarily due to the timing of the purchase of Easy Pass tags and higher-than-planned major maintenance expenses. However, our support to mass transit is approximately $172.5 million, which is about $5.5 million better than planned, so we're looking good on that. That concludes the financial report. If there are no questions.
The amount of our huge support to mass transit is another reason why we should have a favorable committee schedule.
Yes, hello. We committed $3.1 million of work in April to bring our year-to-date total to $23.4 million versus a plan of $21.7. The bulk of this commitment is for a design contract valued at $3 million to rebuild and possibly improve the Gowanus ramps at the VNB. There were no completions in April, and we closed out work valued at $4.5 million to bring our annual total to date to $72.7 million. And that concludes my report. If anyone has any questions.
Tom, could you just quick, I know Jim and I have had a number of discussions regarding the Throgs Neck Bridge issue or issues, as the case may be, and I will tell you, I get more complaints about that, not so much complaints, but concerns about that than anything else that we're doing at the moment. Could you just bring us up to date on where we are and what we expect to happen as we move into the summer season?
Well, Commissioner, if you recall, we had our fire problem last year,
Right.
our contractor, and we've rebounded very well from that. We expect to be finished with our major road work this summer. Presently, we're in a traffic configuration which allows one lane of traffic to proceed to the Cross Island Parkway southbound, and we've just been tortured, and we're just pulling our hair out with the traffic issues we have. Essentially, we've restricted the 3-lane bridge to 2 lanes in an attempt to keep people from the center lane from cheating at the Gore
Right.
and fouling up traffic. Although the traffic pattern we have now isn't quick, and I take it every day. I use the Throgs Neck. We think it's safer than the pattern that we had, and we just wish the aggressive drivers would use another bridge at least until we get through with our construction. But the work is going very well. We're going to finish. Again, we will have made up our lost time and more. So that's where we are,
And
Commissioner.
the goal is to finish by?
Summer. Yeah. There will be additional work in the road remaining, but the significant lane closures, the permanent lane closures will be done.
So then we can reopen the 2 lanes to the Cross
Correct.
Island at that point?
Correct.
Okay. Because it does have an effect in the safety report. There was clearly an uptick in the number
Absolutely.
of accidents at the Throgs Neck Bridge, and obviously the issues are related with regard to aggressive drivers using the center lane and then having to move over to the right lane, and what happens when they try, as the case may be.
Yeah, the actions we took, Commissioner, were directly related to the accidents, and we had approximately 80 accidents in a 6-week period, thereby necessitating the move that Tom talked about.
Yeah.
And since then, we've seen a dramatic decline in accidents. Naturally, we see a correlation of traffic slowing down a little, but we feel that it's the safe and prudent way to go until this capital program, piece of the capital program is completed.
And I know we've had this discussion before, but how far back do we tell people the delays at the Throgs Neck? Because obviously, as long as they have an option, using the Whitestone, at least to the geographic Long Island, is beneficial. May not be the best, but it's clearly better than the Throgs Neck.
That VMS split is telling people to favor the Whitestone.
At the, on the Throgs Neck Expressway coming south?
Yeah, right at the New England Frogs
New
Neck
England.
split.
Okay.
The New England split, 95
Right,
south.
right, 95
Yeah,
south.
95.
Right.
Are we doing that on the Whitestone Expressway or on the Cross Island as well?
I don't believe we had the ability to do it as but that's going
It's
Well,
going the
the
opposite way.
direction.
Well,
so-
I know going north, because, no, there is a problem. There clearly is a problem, but the sign at least now works, because you and I have had that conversation, to tell people that it's much quicker to take 295 to the Throgs Neck than it is to take the Cross Island. That has been clear. Every time I go by, the difference is like, at least 10, 15-minute difference, because the Clearview, right, 295,
Yeah.
because the Cross Island is backed all the way up. It's almost all the way up onto the expressway
Yeah.
to that regard, so because people trying to get on in that regard. So it obviously, to some degree, goes both ways.
Tom, when did you say those 2 lanes to the Cross Island would be open?
In the summer, Commissioner.
This summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
How about the construction on the RFK, formerly known as the Triborough Bridge, with the beginning and the end of the toll booths there?
We've, the work you're referring to, Commissioner, is, it's essentially a temporary patch. That was a pothole which, because of the deteriorated condition of the concrete, needed to be lengthened to probably 200 foot in length. The concrete's placed. We're just waiting for it to cure. That is going to open up fairly soon, but that's a condition that at Triborough we're going to need to live with for a while until we get some clarity on our plaza rebuilding situation.
We're engineer friendly on approvals for that, so make up your mind and do it and get going. We won't,
Points noted. Thank you.
We won't hold you to this. But that's some size pothole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else?
Tony,
Yeah,
procurements? Report
Good
on
afternoon. There are 5 procurements this month totaling about $4.75 million. There are no non-competitive procurements. There are 4 competitive procurements. The first is a personal service contract with Ammon & Whitney Consulting Engineers, P.C. in the amount of $2,235,986 to provide construction administration and inspection services for Project D607 VN88, which is painting of towers below roadway level at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge over a period of 2 years, 6 months. Next is a personal service contract with Beth Israel Medical Center to provide licensed healthcare professionals to administer influenza and hepatitis B vaccinations, post-exposure evaluations, and follow-up services to B&C personnel in accordance with OSHA regulations. That is in the amount of $149,097 for a 3-year period. The third item is a modification to a public work contract with American Bridge Company in the amount of $406,572 for additional work under contract BW Task 23/C52052, miscellaneous structural retrofits at authority facilities. The last item is a modification to a miscellaneous procurement contract with Telvin Cassetta, Inc. in the amount of $1,593,828 for additional work to develop components of Bridges and Tunnels all-electronic tolling pilot program at the Henry Hudson Bridge. And there is one ratification. It is a modification to a public work contract with Conti of New York LLC in the amount of $362,646 for additional civil and site work under contract BW 89, which is the replacement of the Bronx Approach and miscellaneous repairs to the Queens Approach at the Bronx Whitestone Bridge. And that concludes the procurement report.
Any questions on any of the procurements? All right, we'll take them all as one item. Is there a motion to second? All in favor?
Aye.
Procurements are approved.
Okay, and our last inventory report.
Well, Jim, as far as I can say, you indicated that the warehouse is closing next month, and we're moving toward a direct delivery and working off procurement credit cards and requirements contract releases, so that they'll go directly to the requisitioning facility, and that'll be in effect as of July 1st.
Thank you very much. Any questions about that?
That's it. That ends our report.
Do we need to do anything further? Do we need to, nothing left?
What are you thinking?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you all very much. See you in June.